Chris here, Scooter Rooter. I'm back in Boscombe, Bournemouth, because this time I don't want to show you the street, I want to give you a bit of Victorian history. Most people when they come to towns, especially towns like Bournemouth, they just look at the shop fronts. But I've got a habit of looking up, and I'm mostly interested in old Victorian buildings, and Boscombe has many of them. Now, as you can imagine, when Boscombe first started to spring up as a town, it was a very religious area. In fact, it was about as mad as what they've got in some of the southern states of America. And Boscombe, Victorian times, was a bit like that. So this is why I've got an interesting piece of story to tell you, which not even many residents know about. But I found out a long time ago by watching an old documentary. Now, in old Victorian days, theatres started, playhouses started coming up, and the people didn't like them. In fact, women weren't allowed to take part, so they had male people dressing up as women. And this is where I'm coming to now. This is the building. It's now called the Academy. In my young days, it was the ballroom, but it's been mostly for youngsters partying, having a good time. But in the old days, it was like a playhouse theatre. And the local people, the religious people, they didn't like it. And this is what I want to show you next. Hang on, I'm going to turn around now and show you why they didn't like it and what they did. Now that building there, if I look up, you see on the top there, above K. Bunsick, that middle building, you can see a statue on the top. It's a demon. And it was looking down. The townspeople had that erected, that looked down and scorned on this building, this playhouse, this theatre that they didn't like. So they put that up there to show their scorn. I've shown you other arcades, Victorian arcades in Bournemouth and Westbourne, and they repeated the demons up there, so they all gazed it. Now this is another area of interest. This is the Royal Arcade. This was Victorian, and not many people. It's mostly used as a shortcut, but it's a very quiet and quaint area. Now I'm panning my camera to the right first because I want to show you the shop fronts, and as you can see, they're typical Victorian front shops. You don't see them modern times. The windows displays that they have there. When I showed you Bournemouth Arcade and Westbourne Arcade, you saw them there. But this they've kept this in the old style that it used to be in the Victorian days. And they're very quaint, if you notice. I mean, it's a quiet shopping area. There's nothing noisy going on down there. There's no nightclubs. There's nothing ostentatious, if you might like. It's just basically, it's very quiet. Even the cafes, they've got cafes here. You know, a wool shop. Where would you find a wool shop in most towns? But this is an area where they can do that because I'm not been there, but that looks like, I don't know if it's some historic, but they've got pictures there of Victorian times. So I'm going back up there, now filming the other side, showing you these shops, because I think these shops are interesting as a bit of history. You know, it's like going back in time. It's like leaving back the 60s, 70s, 80s, even today, with the way life is, entertainment. If I showed you Bournemouth Square, all these nightclubs, all these venues going on, but not here. This is kept back in the way it used to be, back in the Victorian days. And I expect there were other shops around that were like this, but they've probably been changed, shop faces changed. But like I said, the buildings above are still old Victorian. If people would only look up. Now I'm coming back down through for one more last time, because I want to show you the architecture. Look at it. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The architecture of this building. And I hope they hope they never get rid of this, because this is kind of things I like to see. I've mentioned many times before in my videos. I love architecture, and look at this. It's absolutely wonderful. So I'm just gonna, this is another entrance or exit to the building, but I'm gonna just turn around one more time to show you how beautiful the architecture is. And look at this, there's buildings above it, flats, maybe people live in there. I don't know if they do now, but back in the Victorian days, I would imagine there were accommodation too. So now, coming to the end of this video, but I just wanted to share that with you, a little bit of Victorian Boscombe. So I hope you enjoyed it. This is the exit. Now I came in the other way, and this leads to the main street. Like I said, a lot of people just use it as a shortcut to cut through Boscombe, but I hope they take notice of just the beauty of that structure. Old Victorian days. And there's a lot of that in Boscombe. You've just got to look up. Stop looking at the shop fronts. Just look up and see the fantastic old buildings. And if anybody dares to pull them down, I will get very upset. Like they did with the railway station. They tried to pull that down, but people protested and it still remains. So anyway, thanks for watching. I really enjoyed it.